if he walks away from the MOU, which he now has, it is likely that he's going to see even more pushback from Republican lawmakers. Some GOP senators had voted against the Iran War Powers Resolution, did so because Trump and Iran had announced a ceasefire. And if that ceasefire is over, those senators like Josh Hawley, Trump's peace efforts were his rationale behind deciding not to neuter the president's war powers.
In retrospect, though, they probably just should.
Yeah, definitely. He and other Republicans have cited their support for a quick end to the conflict and a reduction in gas prices, which have gone up $1.50 a gallon since the war began. So Democrats are discussing forcing additional votes on a war powers resolution that would direct Trump to withdraw U.S. forces from any kind of combat situation with Iran. This is one of the top major issues that unites the Democratic Party. The Democrats are pretty unanimously against this war, and Democrats would behoove themselves to take notice of that and fight as hard as they possibly can to push through this War Powers Act that I guess did pass where? Where did it pass? In the War Powers Resolution passed the 24th in the Senate, demanding that Trump end the war, but that was just largely symbolic. They would need to pass something to actually legally limit Trump from doing anything further. And that could happen if this war continues and more Republicans see their chances of being reelected in a few months go down the tubes, because the way that it's looking now, it's going to be a bloodbath for them.
Yeah, and I might be misunderstanding something, but is it the case that like the ceasefire, the 60 days means that basically the clock starts over, so it's technically not an unauthorized war on the part of the president?
Because that's what the president says. I'm sure that there is a because a ceasefire is not an end to a war. It's just a ceasefire. An end to a war requires a signed document of acknowledging that there is peace. A ceasefire is just a cessation of hostilities with a that's state of war still going. Yeah,
that's why there's still a state of war between us and the DPRK with North
technically Korea. Yeah. Well, that was never even a declared war. Same like how this wasn't a declared war, right? These are two just police actions, supposedly.
Yeah.
But
we haven't been in war in a very, very long time, not since World War II.
Yeah, we haven't declared war on anyone since we declared war on Romania and Hungary in spring of 1942.
Yeah, we're peace loving.
Yeah. Love that peace.
Yeah.
Anyway, polls show that the war is deeply unpopular. A national survey done by the Financial Times and Focal Data found that only 31% of respondents think that the conflict has made the U.S. stronger. 44% believe that it left the nation weaker, and only 36% of voters approve of Trump's performance in the war, with just 21% of independents thinking that he's doing a good job. For some reason, though, the Republican think tanks and policymakers think that another round of war might force the Iranians to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, the fact that it hasn't worked at all doesn't mean it won't work at all. Just keep doing it more, and maybe one day it will.
So this was all touched off again because a Saudi tanker that was defying route given to it by Iran to pass through the Strait of Hormuz and was using a route given to it by the United States instead. It was basically a test balloon. It was either trying to provoke Iran into attacking it or seeing if Iran would, so they could see if they could keep pushing through pushing unauthorized ships through the Strait of Hormuz. So the Saudi ship used the unauthorized route and was struck by an Iranian drone, which is just it didn't sink the ship. This was more of a warning shot type of type of attack, which is what caused the United States to strike Iran. They did it 2 nights in a row. The first night they hit dozens, and the second night they hit hundreds, a couple hundred sites. The first night it was 90 strikes, and the second night it was over 200. These CENTCOM announced that these strikes were intended to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, but they didn't just attack missile bases and naval sites near the coast like they have done previously. They struck facilities and airports in southeastern Iran, and they hit a meteorological station. They struck a hospital. They struck a bridge that is supposed to be one of the main bridges that connects Iran on its land route to Russia and China. Apparently, the 14 people have died and 78 have been injured, with 47 of those being serious, requiring continued hospitalization. And then Iran, of course, launched retaliatory strikes. They said they launched a joint missile and drone operation targeting U.S. bases in Kuwait and Bahrain, saying that the aggressions of the child-killing U.S. Army would not go unanswered. And
so yeah, this war is just definitely completely back on now.
Iran says it hit several military targets, including radar sites, but we don't have confirmation of that. We've got some video footage of these strikes, but no confirmed destruction. Like we did last time, we had basically Chinese satellite data showing us what had happened immediately. But anyway, so we don't know the extent of the Iranian attacks. We do know that the Iranians have the capability to do some pretty serious damage, though, and that they still have a ton of missiles. The war hasn't spread to Israel yet, which would mean the war is fully on again, 100%. But right now it's at a sort of reduced capacity.
This is it's like, what on earth could possibly be going through their minds? Like, how is it kind of rational?
Axios has reported that the White House is preparing for what could become a multi-day or even multi-week military campaign against Iran, centered on the Strait of Hormuz. One U.S. official reportedly threatened to slap Iran a bit so they understand we're not fucking around. Fucking dipshits, dude. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's probably going to be multi-day. Yeah, at least.
Trump told reporters on Air Force One that Iran's representatives had called a little while ago and they want to make a deal, a claim he made without providing any evidence, and which Iran did not confirm. That's what he's been saying this whole fucking time. Like, ever since the war started, he's been saying that Iran really wants to make a deal.
He's been saying that since February.
So the U.S. officials told Axios that, quote, reopening the Strait of Hormuz and restoring freedom of navigation is the primary military objective of this war. It was open before the war, but, no big deal. Whatever.
Yeah, but it's different this time because it would be because of us rather than just already open.
So the recent attacks have not deterred the funeral procession of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, whose body was flown to be buried in a week-long procession in Tehran, Qom, and the Iraqi cities of Karbala, Najaf. And officials say the overnight strike knocked out a railway linking Tehran to Mashhad had not altered plans. That was the one I was talking about.
So they're saying that as many as 30 million people are expected to attend the funeral of Ali Khamenei. It's the largest gathering of human beings of any kind in all of history.
Yeah, but they're just seconds away from overthrowing the Tsar, man.
Yeah, probably.
The Tsar. I mean, the
Ayatollah.
Yeah.
But also, now that the IRGC has a backup in the form of the Islamic Republic of Japan.
Oh, yes, I heard about that. Oh, God, dude. Someone made Islamic Republic of Japan image, and it was a like anime dude with like that swooping like long black anime hair like in front of his face. I don't know. I have to look it up. Maybe that will be maybe that will be the thumbnail for this.
I'm looking at an image search right now.
Where is it?
uh, it's not what you were looking for, but this is a different thing, which I will also send you.
Oh, the Islamic Republic. Oh, this is good. This it's the rising sun on Japan with a star and crescent in the middle of it.
Look at that one.
The image on the right, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna save that. Maybe that will be it. There's one of like here's an image of and here's the shahada across the red dot.
Yeah. It's like we've always said, Donald Trump is he's bad. He's not good at all. But as president, it's kind of funny.
Anyway, yeah, this good shit here. Definitely going to use some of this. Maybe the shahada on the rising sun. That to me is my favorite one. I think.
No, I think the one you just sent me is the best one.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Back to my notes. Anyway, Israel continues war crimes in Lebanon. They've carried out demolition operations targeting several houses in southern Lebanon. Again, they've also bombed several towns in southern Lebanon. And there's been a dispute between Trump and the Israeli defense minister, apparently. Trump told reporters on Wednesday that he thought Israel would withdraw from southern Lebanon, saying, quote, I think they want to. And he said that there's been a framework of a deal. And he said, yeah, they'll leave. And I think they're going to work. It's going to work out very well, despite his recent statements from Netanyahu saying the exact opposite. So Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz rejected these claims, saying that Israel would stay in Lebanon as long as it deemed necessary, adding that Israel did not ask permission to enter Lebanon and does not need permission to stay in Lebanon. I guess you need the permission of Hezbollah, who's like making mincemeat of your army of occupation, which apparently isn't good for anything except for blowing up civilian housing blocks and shooting children.
Yeah, whenever they're shooting unarmed civilians and housing blocks under their direct control, they're only suffering minimal casualties. They still do suffer casualties, but not as much.
So Hezbollah says that the Lebanon-Israel peace agreement that was just signed serves Israel entirely, and says that that Hezbollah will ignore it and it will be scrapped. And there have been several Lebanese generals that have also said that they refuse to carry out this agenda and they will not fire on Hezbollah if asked to fire on Hezbollah. And that one general told the president of Lebanon that a majority of the army supports Hezbollah and supports supports driving Israel out of southern Lebanon. So, I mean, this is Israel's agreement with Lebanon is a giant nothing burger.
I mean, that's kind of a surprise to me, just because I was not aware that they were that defiant of their elected government.
And Israel continues to kill Palestinians. Total death toll since October 7th is 73,000 killed and 173,000 injured. That's the official death toll. It's estimated to be upwards of 300,000 in actuality. I've got like this entire long list of individual Israeli strikes on different cities in Gaza. And a Hamas delegation led by the group's head in Gaza arrived in Cairo to continue ceasefire negotiations and agreed to dissolve the government of Hamas to turn it over to a UN governing body. But I've seen elsewhere that that Hamas does not intend to disarm or quit resisting. I think it's just admitting that it cannot functionally govern at all anymore.
Yeah. it would make no sense for them to disarm.
Right. Of course, they're not going to disarm.
They can't disarm. It's
Yeah.
just that to do the thing which the pacifist types in the West would say they should do, that's no longer possible. They could always
Yep.
still just resist.
So Syria has been removed from the U.S. state sponsors of terror list now that they have a guy who was literally in ISIS and Al Qaeda and is responsible for the beheading of Christians in the area of Syria that he previously controlled before he was the new dictator of Syria.
Yeah, but like not terrorism against like Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio said that this was a historic step which would give the Syrian people a chance at greatness, and added that this decision had been made because Syria had made formal assurances to the USA that it would not support acts of international terrorism in the future. This guy had previously had a bounty on his head for killing U.S. troops in the Middle East, and is and always has been, at least for like the past 2 decades, a quote head chopper, according to the CIA and the U.S. State Department, all the way up until about right now.
Well, like as Donald Trump said, he lived a rough life. He's a rough guy,
He's a rough guy, yeah. Anyway, at least 600 people have died from Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Not Condo. The outbreak is grown more severe, and it seems as though that it's spreading because there is a strike of workers who have not been paid, healthcare workers who have not been paid in one of the hardest hit areas. They haven't been paid since May 15th. And there's clinical trials for a treatment of this particular strain that began last week, according to Al Jazeera. So, capitalism's at work in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah, the DRC is a pretty good example of disaster capitalism. The just extreme exploitation and of the population and its resources. And
yeah, but just imagine
they're being left to die from Ebola.
But just imagine how bad it would have been if if their elected president Patrice Lumumba was allowed to just be president instead of like who knows how I guess more pro-Soviet and thus somehow worse it would be.
Patrice Lumumba, for those who don't know, was a left populist ruler who was elected to head the Democratic Republic of Congo and was assassinated by the Belgian and the Belgian Secret Service and the CIA. I guess it was the CIA that chartered the plane that Patrice Lumumba was thrown out of. I think that's how it went. Yeah.
And Lumumba was a union organizer, and he was ideologically, he was a Pan-Africanist. He wasn't even a communist. He was just friendly with the Soviet Union.
Well, so
but that's basically the same thing.